Good morning, now that my mic is unmuted. How about that? How about that? Hope everyone had a good Christmas. Hope everyone got at least something that they wanted. Because didn't you know that's what Christmas is all about now? It's all about receiving gifts. It's all about receiving gifts, getting presents. You know, I watched a Christmas film that I used to really like when it came out. It's not that old. I'm sure most of you have seen it. Called Elf. And I thought to myself, I remember this being somewhat family friendly. You know, kind of like a little wholesome and kind of funny. And look, you know, you got to pick your battles, right? It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, I mean, it's a tough call. It's a tough call. Like, everything's so degenerate. It's like, do you just throw everything out that has the subversion in it? I mean, I don't know. I guess it's up to every individual to make that call. There are still redeeming qualities when it comes to that film, but the big thing, excuse me, that really kind of stood out, that the negative, I guess, part of that film, and I'm like I said, I'm sure most of you guys have seen it. At the very end of the film, when Santa Claus, his sleigh has crashed in Central Park because his sleigh is now powered by a jet engine because not enough people believe in Santa Claus. Not enough people have Christmas spirit. And because his sleigh is powered by Christmas spirit, it relies on this jet engine now because it can't run on Christmas spirit alone. And so the jet engine has some problems. Santa Claus ends up crashing in Central Park. And because of circumstances, he ends up needing to rely 100% on Christmas spirit again. And what gives Santa's sleigh the Christmas spirit that it needs in order to be self-propelled once again is that Elf, you know, the big 6'1" Will Ferrell character, his, I guess, half-brother, because no family in any movie can just be normal, right? So his half-brother steals Santa's naughty and nice list / present book or whatever it's called and runs onto live television. And he starts listing all the presents that people have requested of Santa. And when the people who are watching what's going on TV see this little boy saying that, oh, a little Sally so-and-so wants a dolly, and this person wants a bike, and this person, you know, and whatever. As these people see that, oh, wow, like that's it. That is what I asked Santa Claus for Christmas. Suddenly their spirit, their Christmas cheer, or whatever you want to call it, levels up. And Santa's sleigh detects it, and it starts to operate. And eventually he's able to fly using the powers of consumerism, which is basically what it is. That's what it amounts to. And obviously, of course, there's not a single mention of Jesus in the entire film. Not one. There's not a. I don't think there's even like a nativity scene even remotely in the shot. I did notice a couple shots with menorahs strategically placed in the background, but I did not see a single mention of Jesus or even just like nominally, not even, maybe not like, just like I said, a nativity scene somewhere would have been nice, something. And I get it. I get that it's a film that's focused on the Santa aspect of Christmas, right? And it's called Elf. But usually, even in the past, when they would make these, these claymation Santa Claus animations that Elf makes fun of, they managed to, sneak in the Jesus aspect to it, with a couple exceptions. I think Rudolph being one of them, because Rudolph, of course, is about being a Jew on Christmas. For those of you who don't know that, I have a video on BitChute called Rudolph the Jewish Reindeer, which in addition to covering that, talks about how almost every classic, quote-unquote classic, meaning pretty much almost every Christmas song made in the last 100 years was made by a Jew. Which, again, that would be not that weird if let's say, while in Israel around Hanukkah time, which, by the way, Hanukkah isn't like a big Jewish holiday. It's really not. It's celebrated in the West really just to compete with Christmas. Prior to Jews living in the West around amongst Christians celebrating Christmas, Hanukkah was not like a thing really. So, but let's just assume that it was, and that it's big in Israel. Maybe it's bigger in Israel than I think, but I suspect it's not that huge. But let's say that it was. Then it would be, not that weird that so many Jews wrote every Christmas song. If at least there was like a handful of Hanukkah songs written by Christians that Jews gathered around the menorah to sing together, and or it doesn't have to be written by Christians, written by Buddhists, written by Muslims. But no, that's not the case. It's not the case. That's not the case at all. There's not endless Hanukkah films produced, written, directed, starring Christians, like there are endless Christmas films written, directed, starring Jews. Because Jews have defined Christian culture in the West, or at least popular culture. And in doing so, they've removed, they've replaced the Christ in Christmas with an X. So, at any rate, I don't know if you guys were around. We got to watch, I guess it was sort of Christmas Eve. We watched Scrooged. We watched the Charlie Brown Christmas special, and It's a Wonderful Life. It's a Wonderful Life. I think I like that film. I know there's, again, you can find something wrong with everything. But generally speaking, I like that film, and it's anti-banker. And that's always a good thing. Anything that's anti-banker is always a good thing. Speaking of bankers, I don't know how this rumor got started, but this just to give you an idea of why I don't like Q people. I have a drink of water. I'm still a little bit sick, I think you can tell. Plus, it doesn't help that yesterday my neighbors asked me to help them move a shed. And once we got it lifted up onto the trailer, underneath the shed was a huge rat nest. So I probably have hantavirus or something like that now. It was a dusty endeavor. It was not fun. Did not react well to the shit that got kicked up into the air doing that. So that was fun. That's how I spent my Christmas. But anyway, what was I talking about here? I don't remember. That it must not have been very important. So how did you guys spend your Christmas? Did chat have a good Christmas? Oh, that's what I was going to talk about. I was talking about the Q thing. So Q people, at some point, well, I'm sure by now everyone's heard about the Nashville thing, right? So, official story is, and look, this is just one of those things, like people keep asking, well, what do you think's going on? What do you think happened? Official story is, an RV, at some point, whether it was a day before or hours before, the early morning of Christmas Day, parked in front of an AT&T building in downtown Nashville. And then sometime like around, I think like 5 in the morning or something thereabouts, there were gunshots heard. Several gunshots, enough to where people started barricading themselves inside their apartments. I mean, there's this one interview from this one guy who just sounded like a total beta cuck. Like, by the way, it's stuff like that when I hear these people, the way they respond to crisis. This is what I mean by, if I said, like, if there was ever a civil conflict in this country, you don't need everybody. Like, you don't need very many people. Most people are just, they just go with whoever's winning. Like, literally, they'll just stay out of your way. You know, that most people don't want to get involved. You know, they just don't want to get hurt. You know, they're just conflict avoidant. And if there's bullets flying around, then they're like super conflict avoidant. And this guy, you know, being interviewed, is like, yeah, we turned off all the lights and we barricaded the door. And I'm just like, Jesus, like, I've lived at places where there was gunfire all the time. You know, like, this is, all right, whatever, pussy. But anyway, so like, I don't know. That's how that guy reacted. So apparently there was lots of gunfire, and I don't know what the exact amount of gunfire is, but there was it increased. It went over like I guess a timeline of about an hour, which seems a little bit like, it sounds like a lot of gunfire for like there to not be a police response. Police were called, obviously, and then when they responded, they discovered this RV that was parked in front of this AT&T building, and it was playing a message on a loudspeaker. It was saying that it was going to that you had to evacuate the area because it was going to blow up, essentially. And then I guess there was even a countdown at a certain point, and then it blew up. And there's a lot of theories going around because the AT&T building that it blew up in front of houses a lot of servers and lots of other sorts of things, and there's lots of calls that get routed through this building. But I honestly, I think 90% of the shit you're hearing about that is people just guessing. And the internet and phone service of a lot of people, including 911 service, I guess, was at least temporarily taken out. A few people were injured. Last I heard yesterday, they had found human remains. So apparently there's at least one fatality, but there's not a whole lot of details, and it's still very fuzzy. And so all these people are asking me, like, what do you think? What do you think happened? What do you think happened? What do you think happened? And I just, I'll just say what I said on Twitter. Like, look, we'll find out what happened with this right after we find out what happened with the Las Vegas shooting, right after we find out what happened with Seth Rich, right after we find out what happened with that gunfight that was in D.C. like in just prior to the election. Like there's so many things that happen like this all the time, and while they seem really important and like some internet sleuth is going to crack the case any moment, if we just look at the screenshots long enough, and if we just read all these 4chan threads of all these people postulating all these ideas and all these Q people going down all these crazy rabbit holes about whether it's like right now they can't figure out is it a false flag because it's a false flag that to make people so that when they go to DC on the 6th they won't allow RVs and buses and stuff like this to and that's where the Dominion voting machines were. They were in this AT&T building, and so they had to blow them up and or like it was some kind of deep state something or another. And look, you're never gonna find out. You're never gonna find out what really happened. Like you're just not. We live in a surveillance state that has all of the cons and none of the pros of a surveillance state. Meaning that all the sorts of benefits you'd think that you'd get out of a surveillance state, like getting to the bottom of things like this and like the Vegas shooting and all these other things. Like you would think that, at least when stuff like this happens, we'll have like tons of video evidence of it and all the call records and we'll at least we'll find out what happened and we'll have information like this. No. I mean, someone does, but not you. Not you. They'll never share that information with you. Because information's power, and the last thing they want to do is give you power. It doesn't help them at all for you to know the truth about, well, really anything. So we'll never find out. We'll never find out what happened. We might find out a little bit more and maybe have some better guesses, but we'll never really find out what happened. So, it can be fun, I guess, researching and sleuthing and all this other stuff, but I'm not bothering with this one until we get more information anyway. One weird thing that seemed, I don't know why this got connected to this, because I don't see how it would be connected. But inexplicably, a lot of Q people simultaneously started pushing the rumor that Adam Schiff got arrested. Like somehow this RV exploding in Nashville. This is what I'm talking about. The Q people, they get really carried away when anything actually happens in real life, and they can somehow tie it to their web of bullshit. It goes into some really weird places sometimes. And this time it went into Adam Schiff is arrested now, and it's like, why would you ever think that a man from a old money Jewish banking family would be arrested? That will literally never happen. Like that right there, more than anything else, really should clue you in on how how red-pilled how woke or in the know, or like, I don't know what's the term that, how down the rabbit hole, how Q-pilled, I don't know. These Q people seem to think like we know, we have the secret knowledge that we do research and we know what's really happening. You really don't. If you think that a man from a member of the ruling class, even if he wasn't like But a member of the ruling class whose pedigree is a wealthy Jewish banking family, if you think that guy got arrested, you have no idea how the system works. You have literally no idea how the system works. Adam Schiff will not be arrested. Adam Schiff could probably shoot someone in the face and then fuck the hole on live television, and he wouldn't be arrested. Look at the Schiff family sometime. Just, look it up sometime. You might be surprised. It's he's not just some guy, okay? He's not even just some rich guy, We're talking like old money banking elite that's been around a long time. Fucking over America for a long time. So, anyway. It's I don't know how that rumor got started, but it got spread all over Twitter. And I was just like, look, I don't even have to look it up. I already know that's not real. Like, I don't even have to look it up. Like, when people were saying like what, I heard Adam Schiff got arrested, I was like, nope. Don't even have to Google it. Don't. It's like hearing, oh, I heard Jesus came back and he's gonna he's here to help Q with the plan, and he also killed all the Jews. Like, if someone said that on Twitter, I'd just be like, yeah, why would I Google that? That's ridiculous. And that's the same level of ridiculous when someone says a Schiff got arrested. Might as well say that George Soros got arrested, or actually that's more likely that George Soros would get arrested. So, but no, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen at all. In fact, increasingly, it's look. It's looking like there's not going to be any kind of crossing of the Rubicon. There's just not. And I still I'll keep saying that the chance does exist, because it's been a really weird time the last year or so. And anything's possible, but I'm just saying there's nothing that indicates to me that would happen at all. I mean, in fact, there's quite the opposite. And all the people saying that it's going to happen are the more you find out about them, the less credible they are. And the more you see Trump's behavior in these what are most likely the final days of his presidency, I mean, the more it just becomes. I think he's just preparing for maybe I don't even know if he's going to run in 2020. I hope he doesn't, but I think that's maybe what's going to happen, is he's getting ready for 2024 at this point. As Ann Coulter pointed out, his pardons have been, I don't know, pretty bad. I mean, like Clinton level bad. In fact, some of Clinton's pardons actually look not so bad compared to what Trump's been doing. In addition to pardoning the mercenaries that killed civilians in Iraq in some massacre, as well as some. I think there was a cop that murdered a civilian. He, like those, it's like, yeah, I don't know. I see both sides of those, but it doesn't look good. But he also pardoned a Jewish gangster who defrauded Medicare, so you, out of something like $1.5 billion, billion with a B, $1.5 billion. And after donating some money, which, by the way, if you got busted for defrauding Medicare for $1.5 billion and you're in jail now, how do you have any money to donate? Seriously, like, how do you have any money? Because I doubt they recovered all that, right? I mean, he was spending it on hookers and on, like, literally on hookers and just, like, drugs and parties and shit like that. I mean, it's a lot of hookers, drugs, and parties, $1.5 billion. There's no way they recovered all that, though, right? And he's in jail, so he's not earning more money. So how on earth does he have any substantial money at all? But he did. And he donated, made a donation to Chabad Lubavitch. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's a Jewish secret society, essentially, that Jared Kushner belongs to, that wants to enslave the Goyim, and that's not hyperbole. And he made a donation to Chabad Lubavitch, and now he's got a presidential pardon. Yes, and as someone in chat said, Trump also pardoned Jared Kushner's dad. Jared Kushner's dad, who had been put in jail by Chris Christie because, now I might get some of the details wrong, but I think the story goes something along the lines of he blackmailed. He didn't want his sister-in-law to testify to a grand jury that was investigating him. And so he hired a prostitute to fuck his brother in a hotel, and he got video of it, and then used that to blackmail his brother's family into not testifying against him to a grand jury, or I forget what it had. I think it had something to do with a real, he's a gangster, and he was a real estate gangster. He was a mobster, so it was like some real estate crime he was involved in, and he didn't want his family to testify, so he blackmailed his brother with some scumbag prostitute scheme that he had going on. And Chris Christie put him in jail for it, which is why Chris Christie was ejected from the transition team, because Kushner, was like he put my daddy in jail. And so he got kicked out. And now his daddy's out of jail because Trump thought that was a more important pardon to issue than, say, for, I don't know, Julian Assange or Snowden. It's a little sad because I see all these people with high hopes that Trump's going to issue a pardon for Julian Assange. And it's like, I don't think you understand who you're dealing with, Again, it's one of those things where it's like, I guess it's possible. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, I can't see the future. But Trump immediately, the second he was in office, what'd they do? They fucking they locked up fucking Assange, and Trump acted like he'd never fucking heard of the guy before. I did a whole video on that. Look, I'll play the video, I guess, if you want to see. If you want to see a video that's gonna maybe rock your faith in this idea that Trump's going to give Assange a pardon. Let me take a look here. I gotta find this video here. I mean, there's just so many people. You know, someone said, oh, here it is. Someone said something on Twitter that really it rang true. And that is, it's unfortunate that everyone these days has such short attention spans and short memories, because politics involves or requires a long memory. And it's true. Like, you can tell by, I mean, just for example, like the way that people flip-flop on Tucker, right? Oh, Tucker said something I like, so base Tucker. And then like literally a day later, oh, Tucker's, he's part of them. He's in the deep state, you know, or he's a Jew, or, you know, whatever, right? But then he'll say something they like again. Oh, base Tucker. It's like they have the memory of a fucking goldfish or a puppy. You know, it's like they literally don't remember yesterday. And the same thing with the Q people. Another thing, like if Q people had a memory that stretched even like a couple weeks, they would know that Q is bullshit. They would know, oh, like the Q's first prediction. Q's first post was that Hillary Clinton was getting arrested like 4 years ago. And, you know, obviously that didn't happen. But all the Q people have already forgotten about that. It's already gone. It's already history. People forget so much. And I don't know how to, you know, I don't know how to fix that. I don't know that you can fix that. I don't know. All right, let me load up this clip for you. Let's see here. I think this will work. We'll find out.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
WikiLeaks! I love WikiLeaks. Looks like Bernie got a little bit of a bad deal based on WikiLeaks, right?
They want to distract us from WikiLeaks. It's been amazing what's coming out on WikiLeaks.
And all you have to do is take a look at WikiLeaks and just see what they said about Bernie Sanders.
Even Chelsea Clinton, the WikiLeaks email show, expressed serious concerns about conflicts of interest at the Clinton Foundation and the State Department.
I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
It's not my deal in life. It's not my thing. And by the way, the Attorney General he was talking about, the one that's doing a wonderful job, that's Jeff Sessions. You might remember him if you have a memory that's not like a goldfish. You know, Trump fired him before firing the other Attorney General he replaced him with. So yeah, that's you know, it's not his thing. It's, you know, that's I don't know. It's not my thing.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
It's not my thing. I don't know. What? I don't know. What do I know about it? It's not my thing. You know. So this is, and look, I put out a video very similar to this. I think in 2017. I mean, this shouldn't. Why do people forget this happened? Why do people think that Trump is now all of a sudden? See, this is what I talk about with when it comes to the cult of personality, where people have lost all connection with philosophy or justice or ideology or anything, really. It's all about Trump's personality. And so they have these mental blocks where if it's something that looks poorly, if it makes Trump look bad, it's like their brain dumps it. Their brain instantly dumps it. And so when down the road, because like I said, I think this is from 2017. So down the road, when this should be something that you remember happening, right? That wasn't that long ago, right? It was pretty obvious. I mean, he's had this whole time to pardon Assange and hasn't done it, right? But it's just gone from their brains. It's like everything else when it comes to Trump, it's 90% wishful thinking. Now, look, like I said, who knows? Anything can happen, right? But this doesn't make it look good. This doesn't make it look like this is something that you should really be betting the farm on, right? You know, like he'll pardon Kushner's dad, who did what I just said. But he won't pardon Julian Assange.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing.
WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
See? I mean, and how often does he do this? How often does he throw people under the bus? The second it becomes politically inconvenient even a little bit. Like, remember General Flynn? How many times did Trump tweet out about Seth Rich? Even once? No. Not even one time. Like, literally not even one time. Imagine what that would have done, right? He wouldn't have had to have said anything. He would have just had to ask a question like, who's this Seth Rich guy I keep hearing about? You know, whatever, like. And the media would have had to have addressed it. But instead, it was relegated to the dark corners of the internet. And now we'll never even know what happened with that. And look, who knows? Like, we don't even know. For all we know, he's like alive and well in fucking Israel right now. Well, we don't know. Seth Rich could have been a fucking Mossad agent for all we know. Because like I said, these people, they have no interest in truth, which is another reason why they have no interest in pardoning someone like Assange or Snowden. Because someone like Assange or Snowden, if we ever find out about the RV in Nashville, it won't be because of someone like Trump. It'll be like someone it'll be because of someone like Assange and Snowden. Those are two totally different ideologies in direct opposition with each other. People like Trump do not want to share industry secrets with people like you. Because it lessens their power. It necessarily lessens their power. And people like Assange and people like Snowden know this. So that's why they do it, but that's also why people like Trump dislike people like Assange and Snowden. Because they're essentially redistributing the power to the public, because knowledge is power. And the more you know about how the ruling class operates, the less mysterious it is, the more you see behind the curtain, the more you see how the sausage is made, the less you like the taste of the sausage. So, I don't know. Like I said, is it possible? Look, it's just as possible that he pardons Assange, I guess, as it is that he goes full on Rubicon crossing, which I don't think is possible at all, actually, but whatever. I'm trying to get better at seeing these diamonds. The problem is it's different. Like on YouTube, you have an actual tab that you can click to, and then you have like the super chats and all right there. But in terms of the on D Live, it doesn't do that for you, or at least not that I know how to do yet. So I was scrolling there to see if there's anything, but I appreciate that. Do people like Snowden know about the JQ or anything? Well, I've heard Assange actually tiptoe around that subject. And WikiLeaks has also kind of talked about Israel's influence in the West. But they're not as explicit as I feel like they should be. But they also don't act like it's not a thing. Snowden, I haven't heard him say anything about Jewish influence in the West, but I don't think that was like really his thing, you know? Like Snowden's thing, Snowden worked for a contractor, Booz Allen Hamilton, right? And this contractor basically, so here's the thing you got to understand about the federal government and a lot of these contractors. There's several of them. There's Deloitte, there's Booz Allen Hamilton, there's a bigger one. I always forget the name of it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. There's like a few of these companies, and what it is the federal government, because it has this awful, well, it's got the deep state, right? And the deep state's largely incompetent. The deep state is staffed with a bunch of people who don't know what the fuck they're doing, can't be fired, were hired because of diversity reasons or whatever, right? Like literally. Like it's and that's true at the Department of Defense, Department of State. Pick your department. It's staffed with a bunch of fucking left-wing commie morons, and they're going to work there till they die because they're not competent to have enough to have a job in the private sector, and they're overeducated and overpaid, and they have to work there or nowhere, right? And because the federal government allowed the unionization of federal employees, it's like impossible to get rid of a lot of these people. Now, look, you could still get rid of these people if you want to. If you went in there, well, like when I get angry with Trump for not getting rid of a lot of these Obama people that have been there since Obama, and people say, "Oh, it's impossible to fire them." Look, there's some truth to that in terms of like, yeah, it's really fucking hard. But if you wanted to fire someone, look, they don't mind killing people, right? Like, why is it the same people that tell me, oh, they can't fire someone are the same people that think that, like, I'm going to get drone striked for saying the wrong thing? Like, they can get rid of people, okay? Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say that, like, you know, some federal employee somewhere, he's untouchable. But, like, me out my bunker, like, if I say the scary thing on the internet, then I'm going to get drone striked or whatever. You know, it's like, come on, dude. Like, you can get rid of people. You can. One way or another, you can get rid of people. Anyway, so, but that said, it's like, generally speaking, they don't do it. And because it would be politically difficult. Not impossible, difficult. And politicians are lazy and don't want to do, as we have seen, especially during all this election fraud stuff, they don't often want to do the right thing if it means doing something that's difficult and maybe a little politically unpopular or whatever, right? Rocking the boat. So they're just allowed to just staff up with a bunch of retards. And if you know anything about incompetent people, the last thing they want to do is hire competent people, right? Because then you got to worry about them gunning for your job. You can't hire someone who's better than you at anything. And so they just hire people worse than them who can't tell how bad they are. So they don't have to worry about those people, trying to get promoted past them, right? And just imagine, like, that's been going on for decades. Like, that process of just hiring idiots, like idiots hiring idiots, has been going on for decades. So what's happened now, we're at the point where these agencies are they're totally incapable of performing even the basic functions that they're there to perform. And so what do? Well, they turn to the private sector. And there's an entire industry, and I'm talking like billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. I mean, I don't think you understand. I worked on contracts that were like millions and millions of dollars for like the stupidest shit. I walked into my boss's office one day, and he threw a trifold pamphlet, like a little brochure, onto the desk. And he said, "What do you think of this?" And I looked at it, I was like, I don't know. It's all right, I guess. He's like, "Is it $250,000 all right?" I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "That's how much it cost to make that." And I was like, Jesus Christ. So, I mean, this little pamphlet, this little fucking brochure that no one's going to read. It's just going to be in a waiting room at some government office that, like, maybe if there's no magazines, you'll take it out and look at it. And it'll be obsolete probably in like a year or two. $250,000 to give you just like an idea of like the scope we're talking about, on the money that's there to be made in this kind of a business, right? So there's an entire industry of these companies like Booz Allen, like Deloitte, like a bunch of other ones. There's like a handful of really, really, really big ones, and then several smaller ones. And the really, really big ones, actually, they can muscle other people out by they lobby to have all these crazy requirements that you have to meet, even just to bid on a contract, right? And so it's basically they've made it impossible for like a smaller, like I could just go in there, right, and to the same agency and be like, "Hey, you paid $250,000 for a fucking pamphlet. How about this? Give me $50,000, which is that's a great deal for you, and I'll make 2 pamphlets," But you can't do it. I can't do that because there's all these stupid things that you have to meet, like all kinds of stupid little regulations and all this, because these bigger companies have lobbied for that to make it impossible for that to happen. So they have the market cornered on this waste, right? And so what they do is anything at all that requires anything, I don't know, with a above room temperature IQ, they have to subcontract it all out. They subcontract it all out. And that's what Snowden was. He was a subcontractor because the people at the NSA apparently don't have enough people that actually know how to do their jobs at the NSA to actually do it. So they have to contract it out through a company like Booz Allen. And so that's basically Snowden. Is he was just this computer nerd that worked for one of these contractors. And then when he got access to some of these servers and he started to see some of this shit, he was like, "What the fuck? Like this is really bad. This is really bad." And it's allowed to go on because you have people running these agencies. A, like a lot of them are just incompetent, right? And B, they're not there to serve. Like their motives are not to protect the Constitution or to serve you as a public servant. That's not why they're there. They're there to serve the ruling class. You know, that's their only function. Because the only people that can ever remove them from office, you know, is the ruling class, right? Like if, you know, it's like I said, people act like you can't fire these people, but if that was true, then there was a lot of people scared of what they called he's a political. That just meant that like he was an appointee, right? That means, so for example, the bureaucracies are staffed with like these deep state people, like these career bureaucrats. And no matter who's president, most of them are still there, right? They don't change them out because they don't clean house like Trump should have cleaned house. But what does change, like DOJ, right? So all the DOJ lawyers, whether, you know, if you go to work at the DOJ or, you know, FBI or whatever, you're going to work there for, like, you know, a lot of these people 20, 30 years until they retire with their sweet ass fucking government retirement, right? And it doesn't matter if Obama's president or if Trump is president or if Jeff Sessions is the AG or if Barr is the AG, you know, they're still going to just be working there. But like I said, it's not impossible to get rid of these people, because if it was, I mean, there's terror when it comes to, like, if I did a contract for the DOJ and someone said, "Oh, this is going to piss off, you know, one of the politicals," they'd be talking about like Barr, you know, like, and there would be terror. Like that's who they're afraid of, because Barr would have the ability to get rid of someone. It's not impossible to get rid of people. It's just distasteful. I don't know. Like, it's just something that they don't want to do because because they are unionized, and I guess it could open up some can of worms and be a whole process. But like I said, look, there's other ways of getting rid of people if you really want to get rid of them. And you can always just, well, fuck it, reassign them to something they don't like. There's ways of getting rid of people. Now, the other reason why the contractors have grown so big is that exact reason, actually. It's like, yeah, maybe it's harder to get rid of a bureaucrat, but you can end a contract like that, you know? In fact, that was the shitty thing about when I was working through these contractors, was you always had the gun to the head. Always. Like they could just, because you were never like an actual employee, they could just stop the contract that day with no notice, and then you're just fucked. And that would happen sometimes. You know, they would be like, "Oh, we're out of money. Cease working on this project. And you better find another one. Or you can't work at the firm." And you're just like, "Oh, good. Oh boy." So anyway, Snowden was just some guy, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people that think all kinds of crazy things about Snowden, but I think he was just some guy. And he saw some crazy shit. And he put it out there. And you know what? He was delicate about it too. Like he did the same thing that WikiLeaks and Assange has been doing, where they know that if they just leak out everything, if they just put like every PDF and PowerPoint or whatever that they find, and they just throw it on the dark web, that, you know, enemy governments will see it, and if it's something that could expose agents, you know, people will die. And so they were very delicate about it. They both worked directly with their aid. You know, like Snowden worked directly with the NSA and said, like, "Look, I'm going to be giving this information to the press," you know, and he censored some stuff out, and just like Assange has censored stuff out at the request of the State Department and other departments, because they say, "Look, if you release this, you know, it'll endanger some of our people or whatever." And they've done it. but yeah, these are not what they do does not make them they don't have a lot of fans in the ruling class. You know, as Trump said, it's not his thing. He's going to leave it up to the DOJ, just like how many other things has Trump left up to the DOJ? How many other things when people have asked, like, well, Trump, when are you going to start draining the swamp? I don't know. Talk to Jeff Sessions. I don't know. Talk to Bill Barr. I'll retweet this meme of Bill Barr getting yelled at by Chris Farley that he better start arresting people. Did that help? Is he arresting people yet? What if I tweet out presidential harassment in capital letters? Is the swamp drained yet? All right, I'm going to open the chest. There should be a lot of stuff here. I am opening the chest. Yeah, they're all related. In fact, I've been trying to figure this one out. Jeff Sessions, when he got in there as the head of the DOJ, I kept thinking, like, why does this seem like deja vu? Why does Jeff Sessions as head of the DOJ seem like deja vu? And I don't know. Have you guys ever played Street Fighter 2 and in the arcade? Did you guys ever play Street Fighter 2 in the arcade? There's a reason I'm asking this. Might not be obvious to everybody. I'm gonna see if I can get the attract screen of Street Fighter 2, and you'll see why. All right, I think this is it. Let me see if it has it on here. I might just do a screen cap here. So, I don't see it on here. If you ever played Street Fighter 2, or really most arcade games in the 80s and 90s, there was a little window that would pop up every once in a while. Let's see if I can find a screen cap of it. Yeah, here we are. I'll pop this up here. Every once in a while playing these games, you know, it's kind of like the don't do drugs stuff back in the day. You know, you would have this screen pop up. I want you to look at that carefully. Winners don't use drugs. William S. Sessions, Director of the FBI. Now, I don't know. Call me crazy, but I don't think Sessions is a very common last name. I don't think that's like a super... I don't think that's a name that's... I don't know, that really anyone besides Jeff Sessions and William S. Sessions that I've ever heard of having. It's kind of a weird name, right? And I have looked for the relation between, because they have to be related, right? They have to be. There's no way they're not. And you would think that that would be like a thing that would be talked about, right? Like, this wasn't very long ago. This was in the, I don't know, late 80s, maybe early 90s. You would think that that would just be brought up. It'd be mentioned that, oh yeah, Jeff Sessions is, cousins or nephew or, I don't know, to William Sessions. Or that it would be linked up somewhere in their Wikipedia page or something. And, no, I can't find any info. But come on. It's impossible. It's impossible that they're just not related. It's impossible. And it's just one of those things where it's like, all these fuckers are related. All these fuckers are related. The fact that Bill Barr's dad is hiring Jeffrey Epstein at a job at a school where he has no... I mean, all these people are connected like this. Like it's crazy. Like, all these people fucking know each other. Because it's nepotism. Because no one is there based on merit. No one. You can't, by the way, it's like you can't like break into the ruling class. You can't do it. Oh, but Trump did. No, he didn't. You think Trump was born poor? Pretty sure Trump got like a loan from his dad for like $60 million to get started. I wouldn't call that breaking into the ruling class. I'd call that being like everyone else in the ruling class, born into it. So if anyone has the connection there of those two, I would love to know how those guys are related. But they have to be. They have to be related. There's no way, oh no, they both have this really weird last name that no one else has. And they both work in, Republican administrations. Just one of those things, I don't know. All these people know each other and half of them are fucking each other. That's just the way it is. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. That's just the way it is, guys. That's just the way it is. All right, let's take a look at chat. Seems to be a pretty significant delay between, like it's more than usual. Between when I'm talking and when it updates actually on my tablet here. So I don't know if everyone is that delayed. Big Club, it's about bloodlines. Yeah, there's a book called I think it's called The Bloodlines of the Illuminati. It's like a really thick, hard to find book. But thankfully it was FOIA'd. Like the FBI had a copy of it on PDF. And so you can get it because it was FOIA'd, so you can get it for free. You want a print copy, it's going to cost you. Like, it was hard to find one. I ended up paying like $50 for it, which was a deal because a lot of these are really expensive. And it was this guy named Fritz something, I forget. I mean, look, the guy himself doesn't seem like a very reliable person, to be honest. But I think at least some of his research is pretty good. And he picks out a lot of these bloodlines. And they're names that you never hear about. Like, never hear about. But they're very... It's like the Schiff. The Schiff family is in there. Adam Schiff's family is in that book. So, it's definitely worth looking into. Because you can just go to the FBI vault and do a search for, I think, just Bloodlines of the Illuminati. And you can download the whole thing in PDF. Springmeyer. Yep, that's the guy. So here we go. what's the book's name? It's Bloodlines of the Illuminati. Let's see here. You never hear about them, but they're always Jewish. Well, actually, there are some that are Jewish, but there's a lot of them that aren't. You'd be surprised. Like because you got to remember, like the country has obviously been subverted. Excuse me. Sorry, like I said, I'm still getting over this crap. But the WASP elite that gave it over, that handed it over to them. I mean, many of them are still players, and many of them are just subverted. Like look, Trump, right? I don't think Trump himself is Jewish, but I mean, he's certainly married into that persuasion, right? Biden, the same thing. Look, they knew where the wind was blowing, so all of his kids married Jews. So I mean, look, it is what it is. But not all these bloodlines, like the Bush family, for example, they're not Jewish, but they certainly are Zionists. So not all the names in that book are Jewish, but many of them are. Let's see here. I saw an interesting video yesterday that spoke of ancient Irish and Hebrew languages being the same. Well, I don't know about that, but the name is quite common in Utah because of polygamy in the past. The original name of my hometown was Sessions Settlement. Well, I don't think Jeff Sessions is Mormon. Let's see here. Jews are bike thieves to them. Might as well be Jewish as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I don't know who you're talking about. But Trump said in his inauguration speech that he wants to give power back to the American people. Yeah. And Alex Jones said the Rothschilds want to give the money back to the American people. But ain't happening, is it? It's hard to find an NGO leader in the NGO crime network that's not Jewish. Yeah, well, that's the thing is that's how they've taken over in a lot of ways, right? Is using nonprofits, using the legal system. Like, look, it's part of their culture. Even if you look at these Hasidic Jews in New York who don't have like a ton of money, what do? They exploit the system like crazy, right? You know, like in terms of collecting welfare, using every little regulation they can find in the city to get cheaper housing, to force people out that they don't want out of their neighborhoods. You know, it's lawfare. It's legal lawfare, and it's not the way Goyim think. It's just not the way Christians think. Christians think of the system as something to protect them from bad things, you know, that might happen. Jews look at the system as a resource and a weapon at times, and something to exploit at times. You know, it's a very amoral way of looking at life. I guess that's really the biggest difference, is Christians see it as immoral to exploit the system because they realize that, well, when I exploit the system, I'm exploiting everyone around me in my community, right? And that's clearly not something that a good citizen does. Well, if you're an outsider, if you're not really a member of the community, you don't look at it as exploiting your community. Your community is all the other people that are exploiting the same system. You're all doing it. And so you don't have there's no moral quandary. It's all about, oh no, we're just trying to gather as many resources from the host as possible. And look, I've been saying, look, if you want to, them's the rules now. If you have the ability to collect anything from the system, whether it's disability or food stamps or I don't know, whatever you qualify for, right? Like there used to be, and there shouldn't be, but there used to be this shame about doing it. Look, the ship's going to go down. You might as well suck from it like a vampire all the way down. Everyone else is going to. You're a sucker if you don't do it. I mean, exploit it as much as you can. Take everything you can from this place, because once it's gone, it's gone. And you're the one paying for it anyway, right? I don't even want to know how much money I've paid into the system. But it's a lopsided deal. You're paying way more into it than you're getting out of it. So get as much as you possibly can out of it, and don't have any fucking shame about it. Like, not even a little bit. Like I've said before, all these people, oh, I can't afford to have a kid. Yeah, you can. I mean, you think all these black people popping out kids that you think they can't afford to have kids? They're having them. They're having them. The states, you're just paying for them. Like, you can't afford to have your kid, but apparently you can afford to have theirs. You're paying for theirs. Just fucking have a kid. Most states have programs. I mean, your kid's not going to go hungry. Okay? And so what? You can't buy, like, the fancy stuff that you wanted to buy your kid when you were, like, a kid. Like, oh, I'm going to make sure my kid has, like, the fastest fucking Power Wheels and the fanciest bike and the nicest shoes. And, fuck all that shit. Kids don't really care about that anyway. Unless you make them care about that. You know? If you sit them down in front of a TV and let their brain rot on commercials, then they'll care about it, right? But that's on you then. If you're homeschooling and you're doing a good job, I mean, your kid will be taken care of. The state, believe it or not, at least for right now, they still have the resources to keep these people alive. You know, like, your kid will have health care, your kid will have food. You know, and if you can't handle providing the rest, I mean, what are you doing? Like, how I mean, even if you're living in your fucking parents' basement, you should be able to pull this off, right? So don't let the financial thing be the reason you're not having kids. So what if you don't have rich kids? Rich kids suck anyway. Okay, let's take a look here. My 6-month-old nephew's favorite toy yesterday was stacking cups. Exactly. Kids can have fun with a fucking cardboard box. Buy him a box of crayons and a bunch of paper. Sessions is a Methodist, although it is common for government agencies to hire Mormons. Well, yeah, FBI hires a lot of Mormons because they're commonly perceived as trustworthy, which I can attest is mostly the case. If you're unmarried, you're covered. Well, that's the other thing too, right? So, legally speaking, it's easier for a single mom to collect these kind of benefits than it is for a married woman. So, what's the solution? Don't get legally married. Why do you care about that anyway? If you want to get married, go get married in some fucking church somewhere, off the books. And, you know, let the state treat your wife like a single mom. Nothing wrong with that. Literally nothing wrong with that. Can you explain what the Great Reset is? It's global communism. It's more complicated than that, but that's the basic idea is they want us to be insect people. They want us to be insects in an insect colony, and they want to be the queen of the colony. Didn't Mormons swear an oath to take down the USA? No. There's a lot of anti-Mormon bullshit out there. Like, like there just is. You got to think of it this way, all right? And look, there's a lot of churches that are threatened by the fact that the Mormons do a lot of missionary stuff, like a lot of conversions. That hits them in the pocketbook. And so I've seen this happen. So a lot of these evangelical churches, or the kinds of churches that Mormons are like poaching people from, come out with these like videos of like talking about how Mormons are like the devil and all this other shit. And it's fucking insano shit. It's insano. Okay? Like, Mormons don't take an oath to take down the government. I wish they did. Mormons are usually like really nice people and really cool people. And they're having more kids than most of the other Christian religions. Mormons are Freemasons. Dude, shut the fuck up. So what if they are? First of all, they're really not. But is there a connection there? Yeah, probably. I mean, there's some Freemasonic... I think Joseph Smith probably stole some Freemason shit and implemented it in like the temple stuff. But really, dude, what is this? Like a fucking 1980s conspiracy VHS tape where we're all afraid of the Freemasons? Come on, dude. Let's see here. Oath of vengeance to Joseph Smith. See, this is the thing. I hear all this stuff from people who aren't Mormons all the time. And literally no Mormon knows what the hell this oath of vengeance bullshit is. Like, no one. Let's see here. We need to start judging people more by their character. Yeah, I mean, look, some affiliations are bad, right? They are. But Mormonism's not one of them. You know, like, look, if you're taught, like, if, just like with any other organization, it's like if someone's Catholic, I'm not going to think, oh, you're bad because your Pope's, like, basically a satanic pedophile, which is true, right? Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you're bad because you're Catholic. Now, if you were, like, friends with the Pope, I'd be like, yeah, you're probably bad, right? Same thing with the Mormon thing, right? Let's say there is some, like, weird, crazy blood oath bullshit, like, which doesn't exist for the most part. Maybe there's something, I don't know. But if there was, it wouldn't, the average Mormon's not going to be tied to that. Just like the average Catholic has nothing to do with, like, pedophile Satan Francis, right? The average Mormon's not going to have, like, weird blood oath, vengeance, whatever thing, okay? Like, that's just not a thing. Like, I mean, you got to think of it. That doesn't have broad appeal, right? That doesn't have broad appeal. So you wouldn't be able to get people to convert. If like, oh, by the way, we have this weird blood oath vengeance thing. That wouldn't work. So, okay, maybe if someone had like some affiliation to someone high up in the Mormon church, okay, then maybe you could be suspicious. Because I'll tell you, look, the one thing I do have a problem with, well, not the only, but one of the biggest things I have a problem with the Mormon church is they used to have open books in terms of their money, right? If you wanted this, because Mormons pay 10% of their pre-tax, 10% of their income to the church, because tithing, right? Tithe means tenth. That's biblical. So they take it seriously, and so you're supposed to, at least, and most people do. So it's a lot of fucking money. You got to think of how many Mormons there are in the country. And so they're getting 10% of the income of like all those fucking Mormons. And a lot of these Mormons are fairly successful people, right? Presumably, I don't know. Romney, I don't understand how he's even really a Mormon given some of his views. But let's say he is. And presumably 10% of his income, which is significant, is going to the Mormon church too. So it's every Mormon, right? So they used to have it to where you could go down to like Salt Lake and look up and see where all this money was going, you know? And it was just right there. It was like not a big deal. And sometime, I want to say like in the 60s maybe, It might have been a little bit earlier than that, but like, you know, not that long ago, they changed that. And now no one knows how much, no one even knows how much money they have, where it's invested. You know, like it could be, no one knows. It's a total mystery. And that I don't like. I don't trust that. I don't trust that. So it just seems like, you know, it just seems sketchy to me. It seems sketch. Because, you know, what do you got to hide? Why, you know, you have something to hide because you're hiding it. The other thing, see, here's the thing. 60s and 70s, the boomers basically wrote everything, including Mormonism. So until 1970, I want to say 1978. I could be wrong, but it was in the 70s. If you were black, you couldn't have the priesthood in the Mormon church. And then the Mormons, the boomer Mormons changed that rule as well. So Mormons used to be way more based. All right, let's take a look about this. COVID is population control. I don't know. It doesn't seem to be doing a very good job of it if it's population control. I mean, it's taking out like maybe not even 1% of the population. So, you know, magic underwear protects against COVID. See, that's the other thing I don't understand. I really don't understand. It's one of those things where it's like, it gets like people love to make fun of the magic underwear, but it's not magic underwear. Like I don't understand it. Like it's not any weirder. In fact, it's almost less weird than like the small hat or like the turban or like the beads that Catholics have, or like, cause it's just underwear. Like it's not magic. There's literally nothing magic about it. So here's the deal. I'm gonna give you guys all the inside scoop on the magic underwear. All right. So the magic underwear is cut. It's, first of all, again, it's not magic. They're called temple garments because you get them after you get married. Basically, you get them after you get married. Okay. But they're cut in such a way that you can't wear slutty shit if you're a woman, right? Because your underwear will be showing. So it's basically a way to get your wife to not dress like a fucking whore. And like, that's it. And the other side of that, and again, this is actual, this is open doctrine. They'll talk about this. The other side of that is, the idea is, like, let's say the husband, he's also got to wear it. It's just like an undershirt. Like I said, it's like boxers and an undershirt. Like, that's all it is. But the idea is, if you're going to cheat on your wife, you have to take off these temple garments to do it, right? And it's like one more like last reminder of like, you're going to go to hell. Like, don't do this. You know, these were the temple garments you were wearing when you made your promise to your wife, you know. Now, are there people that have like stupid stories about like, oh, my temple garments like stop me from being burned in a fire? Or like, yeah, there's like gay ass stories about, like, everyone has stupid shit like that in every religion. Like, this Bible stopped a bullet. But it's not, there's nothing magic about it. And again, it's just one of those things that I think evangelicals and Protestants were like they hated and feared the Mormons, and so they latched onto every little thing they could think of that was silly. And look, and for all those people that are Protestants or Catholics or whatever, they're like, no, that's not why. Oh, really? You realize it was legal to kill Mormons? Like, it was legal to kill Mormons in Missouri until like the 70s, and the governor had to issue like an apology because like a governor back in like 18 something had an execution order. This happened in the United States. No one seems to remember this because the Mormons don't bitch about it. Like the governor of Missouri issued an execution order. It was literally open season on Mormons. You could just kill them. That's why they went to Utah. They didn't go to Utah because, oh, it's nice out here. It's in the desert with this lake full of salt, so we can't drink the water. That's not why they went to Salt Lake. They went to Salt Lake because they were getting murdered everywhere else. And so they thought, oh, they'll leave us alone here, because I think at the time, I don't even think it was part of the United States yet. And then the United States basically won it from Mexico or something, I forget all the timing of all this stuff. But long story short, they were trying to get the fuck out of America because they were getting murdered. And that was a totally normal thing. I had my grandma, this happened, okay? My grandma went to go get her hair cut at some place when she was probably like a teenager or something like that. And the hairstylist didn't want to cut her hair because her preacher had told her that Mormons had horns, under her, that if she were to be digging around on her scalp, she'd find horns. And she was freaked out and had to be shown that, no, I don't have fucking horns. I'm telling you, there's been crazy town shit talked about Mormons for a long time. And they're usually just pretty normal. Now, do they believe in, obviously, they believe in weird shit. So does everybody. So does everybody. I mean, if you believe that Moses parted the Red Sea, you believe in weird shit. Okay. Let's see here. There's actually, an ancient law in Denmark obligating you to kill any Jew. Time to wage war on the horned Mormons. Yeah, no, like I said, that people actually believe that shit. And I mean, look, I can't remember if this was I think it might have been I think it was my great grandma. I don't think it was my grandma, because I think it was my mom's grandma that happened to. So I mean, it was a while ago for people to be that dumb to believe it. But I mean, that's the context. I mean, people were fucking murdering my family. That's why they left Missouri and went to Utah. I've got pioneer genes that are pretty rugged and raw because all the weak ones got weeded out, either through getting murdered along the way or dying of starvation and all that shit. But like I said, you literally never hear Mormons bitch about this, which is funny because it's a pretty good persecution story, right? It's a pretty good persecution narrative. Now, look, it's portrayed as somewhat of a persecution narrative within the church, but it's not a Holocaust. It's not at all. And in fact, like I said, most Mormons are fairly patriotic and don't look at it as they don't see themselves that's why the weird thing when someone was saying the weird revenge blood oath thing, I've literally never heard of that. And because that's not the context that this is taught when you're a kid and they teach you about this stuff. It's not through some angry lens of we'll get them back someday. I mean, again, maybe there's some Mormons out there that think that way. I've never met any, and it's not taught in the churches that I went to when I was a kid. But it's I don't know, maybe there's someone out there that thinks that way. Patriotic, they want open borders. I don't know any Mormon that wants open borders. I've never heard something, so it must not be real. You know what, faggot? I'm just going to ban you. How about that? And then I'll never hear you, so you won't be real. Boom. Later, faggot. How do you think that? You like that shit? Boom. You are no longer real to me. You just cease to exist. I have the magical Mormon underwear powers that made you disappear. Oh boy. Yeah, sorry. Am I a practicing Mormon? No, obviously not. But I was raised in a Mormon church. I went to fucking seminary, if you know what that is. my ancestors literally helped start the Mormon religion. I know a little bit about it. Okay? I know more than you fucking do. Okay? That's part of my heritage, like it or not. It's part of my American family story. Okay? There are polygamists in my genealogy. If you go back not that far, actually, there are multiple wives involved. It happened, you know. So yeah. See, there's another person. I was raised Mormon, my whole family Mormon. Never heard of blood oath. Exactly. The people that bring this shit up, like I said, maybe there's some kind of weird fringy Mormons that believe this stuff. It's possible. It's possible. But I'm not exactly, like I said, I'm not like watered down convert Mormon. My family was Mormon since the first Mormons. Okay? And everyone else in my family, in my very big Mormon family, is very practicing Mormon. I'm the bad kid. Okay? I know a little bit about it. I would have heard about this blood oath crap. I would have heard about it. Now, again, maybe is there a historical thing? Like maybe there was. Like I could imagine being pissed off after Joseph Smith got shot in prison. I can imagine there being like some pissed off Mormons that maybe they had like a blood oath or I don't know what, and they swore vengeance on somebody. I could see that happening, but it's not part of the church. It's not something they teach. They don't smear blood on your forehead at age 12 and say, and now you will take the blood oath. Like, never heard of it. Literally never heard of it. So, I'm just saying, like, all this stupid infighting between Christians really pisses me off. Like, it really pisses me off. Really pisses me off. Because ultimately, like, look at the left, right? Do you see the fags fighting with the Muslims? When, like, literally they should, they should hate each other, right? No, they don't. Why? Because they hate us equally. Right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of a thing. Like that's big time on the left. That's the glue that holds the left together. But the right, no, everyone's like trying to measure the size of their fucking dick. Like, oh no, my Jesus dick is bigger than your Jesus dick. And it's like, fuck off with that bullshit. Like, seriously, fuck off with that bullshit. No one fucking cares. Like, dogma is fucking retarded. And it won't matter. It literally won't matter, like, what brand of Jesus is the right one, is the super right correct one, and everyone else is going to hell. Because your very specific brand of Jesus, that's the one that gets you into heaven. Well, it doesn't matter, because we're all going to get fucking genocided before that happens. Like, if we can't get along, all right? Like, it really drives me crazy. Because, like I said, look, I think the Catholic Pope is a satanic pedophile. Like, legit. 100% satanic pedophile. Not hyperbole. Actually satanic, actually a pedophile. Doesn't mean that I hate Catholics. It doesn't mean that I want to sit there and bitch about like some weird thing that I like. How does the Trinity make any sense? What, Jesus prayed to himself when he's on like who fucking cares? None of that shit matters. Like, it literally doesn't matter. Literally doesn't matter. Does not matter at all. Like, literally none of that shit matters at all. You can be Catholic, you can be Lutheran, you can be Mormon, you can be fucking Jehovah's Witness for all I give a fuck. All right? We're in a war right now. We can't be arguing about stupid little details. Like, we can argue about if we win the war, if we're no longer up against the armies of darkness, right? Like, if somehow we succeed and we no longer have an existential fucking threat hanging over our heads, once the gun barrel is not fucking pressing up against your goddamn temple, yeah, all right. Maybe we can talk about what Jesus' favorite color was. And whether Jesus would have worn Birkenstocks or Crocs. But in the meantime, it doesn't fucking matter. It literally doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't fucking matter. Because we all hate satanic pedophiles. Even the Catholics, who know that a pope is a satanic pedophile. Even they hate satanic pedophiles. Okay? That's all that fucking matters. And look, I don't even go to church. I'm not even sure there's a God half the time. Okay? Look, I'm just being honest with you guys. I'm a very pragmatic person. And I think about this stuff all the time, and I do pray, and I hope that I get more faith. But this shit doesn't matter. This little fucking, the minutia it really doesn't fucking matter. Doesn't matter if that Prada purse is a fucking knockoff or not. All right? It doesn't matter if you've got the real brand name Jesus. No one cares. Literally no one cares. In fact, the only people who do care are the faggots that don't help anyone else out. Because they're focused on the shit that Jesus himself was saying was bullshit. They're focused on the letter of the law. So don't get wrapped up in that. It's so fucking gay. It's so gay. Anyway. What do I think about Buddhism? I don't know. I don't think Buddhism's good. I think Buddhism seems like it's too passive. What is a faggot if you don't care about dogma or doctrine? What are you even fucking talking about, dude? A bundle of sticks. Let's see here. They do some good things, have their own welfare system, and they get people jobs. Yeah, they do the kinds of things that churches should be doing. All churches should have like a welfare system or a charity system. All churches should have some kind of network to give people jobs. Look, maybe there's some shady shit going on in the Mormon church. I would imagine there is. I mean, there's shady shit that goes on everywhere, right? But ultimately, at least in my experience, I didn't stop going because I thought it was evil. Honestly, the reason I first stopped going because I wanted to be a degenerate, you know? So, like, the opposite of a good reason. Let's see here. I have in-laws obsessed with Doomer Revelations, and that's their cope and cop out for bad current events, heads in the sand. Well, yeah, and there's also like a lot of people that they don't want to do anything because, oh, well, Jesus is going to come back and fix it all, so we don't have to do anything. That's bullshit. I fucking hate that. I fucking really hate that. Amish are the best model for our present circumstances. I don't know. I think they take it too far. They're an extreme example. I don't think you have to go full Amish to succeed. I don't think they're doing it wrong. But I think that, I mean, like, look, I couldn't be Amish and be doing what I'm doing right now. I couldn't be talking to people. That's something that they're limited by. So, you know, it works for them, and it's, you know, it's successful for them. That's good, but it's just not for me. I wouldn't want to go full Amish. My rich uncle died, and my cousin won't share any of the $50 million with us now. We are poor. Well, that sucks. I like Osmonds versus Jacksons. Yes, the Osmonds were Mormon. There are massive differences between Buddhism and Western Buddhism. All right, well, I'm not an expert on Buddhism. I am soon getting to the point where I should join Satan if he would help me get rid of the Jews. Well, no, you don't want to go that far. Which was Jesus's church? The pre-Negro can get into one of the levels of heaven or post? What? I don't know what you're talking about. Girls going to find themselves in Asia isn't real Buddhism. Well, no, but there's just Buddhism in general is more pacifist than Christianity. Christians have allowed the world to lead them. Yeah, I mean, Christianity in its modern form has not exactly been very proactive. The Amish are non-violent, not even if they're invaded. Yeah, that's also too pacifist for me. They would prioritize coloreds getting those jobs, even though whites built the churches up. I don't know who you're talking about. Rapture equals original QAnon. Yeah, well, yeah, basically. I don't believe in the rapture. I don't even think there's biblically it's like real. I don't know where it comes from. No, just Fash Wave Amish. You speak truth. God is with you. Forget about the name. I like tech though. The dissident right tends to read too much into irrelevant shit. Yeah, there's just a lot of apparently I'm like way behind on the messages. You guys are talking fast. Yeah, that's the thing is there's way too much purity spiraling going on because like I've said before, I did a whole video on this. The right sees diversity as one of their enemies. And so unfortunately, like everything else, a lot of times people overreact to the danger because no one's reacting to the danger. So they think that like they need to really react to the danger because no one else is reacting to it. And the overreaction that I see coming on the right is, well, if diversity is the problem, then I need to have the most hyper-specific, non-diverse view in the world. Like the most exclusive view ever. Which is the wrong response. That's the wrong fucking response. That's an overreaction that's not going to work. Because if you get like this super hyper specific ideology that only includes like, racially 1% of the earth and then like 1% of that 1% because of ideology and then 1% of that 1% because of whatever else, whatever other fucking rules you've applied, and then good luck finding even that amount of people that this applies to. You'll never be able to actually form a group with these people, and then you fucking lost. And that's what happens with a lot of people on the right, where they, like I said, they respond to the problem of diversity with hyper specificity, and it doesn't fucking work. How do you feel about the rise in interest in Eastern Orthodox Church in the West? Lots of interest. Yeah, I see a lot of interest in that, and I think that's good. I have friends that are Orthodox. There's nothing about Orthodoxy that I see that's inherently bad. Maybe there's probably corruption somewhere in there, just like everywhere, but it seems like it's works for a lot of people. That's good. I think it's weird that their Christmas isn't until like next week. That's a little weird, but it's not a deal breaker. So, all right. So what? So your Christmas is on a different day. Who cares? What happened to Catholicism in Ireland is a good example of what's going to happen to all Christian countries: gay marriage and abortion. Well, there's just a lot of watering down of Christian theology in modern Christianity, and especially in America. Like where you've got quote unquote Christians embracing trans kids. Like I think I posted that video on Telegram and on Instagram of that Unitarian church or whatever the fuck satanic Christian church that was. that was pushing trans kids like openly on video. It was fucking horrifying. But that is the current state of Christianity in the West right now. And it's not just like little tiny sects either. It's large. I mean, the Anglican Church, same thing. There's a lot of this fucking SJW bullshit that's been, or even like the Catholic Church, and like I said, to some extent, even the Mormon Church has some of this stuff. You know, like Mormons tend to have a problem with the JQ. Not all of them, but there's a lot that do. Not because of not because they're Zionists necessarily, but because there is, like every Christian, there is like what the people that get mad and start, oh, you guys are Christ cooks or whatever, like those people, like, as unhelpful as they are, they're not totally without a point in terms of, yeah, all Christians, there is like a role that they think that Israel plays, right? And so but it really depends on, well, how you define Israel and what role is that. And there's some Christian sects that define it as actually Israel, and they define the role as something that we have to all die for, right? Unfortunately. So that's like the extreme on one side. But then there's varying degrees of that. There's people that say, no, actually, you know, the new church is Israel or whatever. But yeah, there's a little bit of cuckery going on in Christianity, but that's just like I said, that's every religion has things like that too. Let's see here. I think if we simplified everything to good versus evil, it would be much easier to look past the little differences that keep us fighting. Well, that's the thing, is these people want to kill us. The people trying to create these little holy wars, like, the Catholics aren't the problem. The Catholics aren't trying to kill you. The Catholics aren't trying to exterminate you. The Mormons aren't trying to exterminate you. The Lutherans aren't trying to exterminate you. The Baptists aren't trying to exterminate you. Okay? Now, they might do things that leave us open to attack, but by and large, they're not actively trying to destroy you. So let's focus on the people who are actively trying to destroy us, and then we can worry about the weak spots, okay? But right now, there's people trying to fucking kill us. So, there we go. The Mormons want to corrupt our children with their teachings. Yeah, no. Are you being serious? Or are you being? I have to scroll around here. See, this is the problem, because I want to ban you if you really are saying that after what I just said. If that's what you're coming out with, then you just need to get banned at that point, because you're totally fucking missing the point. Totally fucking missing the point. I won't ban you this time, but next time I will ban you, because it's like, dude. What did I just fucking say? Like, what did I just fucking say? Okay, you said he's trolling. All right, good. All right, so anyway, I gotta wrap things up, so my internet's about to eat shit, because it's about that time of the morning. But hope everyone had a good Christmas. Hope everyone has at least some plans to spend time with their family for New Year's. Or I guess to the Orthodox people, I hope you guys are going to have a good Christmas in like a week or whenever that is. There's also like weird Mexican Christmas things going on. Like they do, I forget. There's like a whole like week of Christmas, or I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking of something different, but it's like there's like a cake with a toy in it and shit. Like, I don't know. But I'll hope you guys all have good whatever the hell you're doing during these festive weeks, and spending time with your family, and hope that you're staying safe from the the satanic pedophiles that we're all fighting against, and don't lose sight that those are the enemies and not your fellow good human beings. And don't purity spiral, and don't try to whittle it down to, I mean, like I said, it's like the people that are like, it's like the girls like, I can't believe I'm still single. I can't believe I'm still single. All I want is a guy who's 6'8", makes $1 million, is ages between 18 and 30, and drives a $100,000 car, and owns a private jet. That's all I want. That's all I want. Why am I still single? I don't understand it. Like, doesn't he see like how awesome I am? Like, that's what you sound like when you start like nitpicking all these things wrong with all these other Christians. It's like, dude, all right, have fun being a fucking cat lady. Have fun being a cat lady by yourself with no one that cares about you, because you've made the list so small. The people that even, like, let's say these people you're describing exist that meet all your little standards that you've created. What makes you think they're going to want you? I mean, do you even meet your own standards? Chances are you don't. Let's be honest. Chances are you don't. Chances are that if you were to hold yourself up to all these same little fucking standards that you want like all your allies to have, you wouldn't measure up. So keep that in mind. Hope everyone has a good day. For Black Pilled, I am Devin Stack.